a whole industry built upon it. And so this is a time to question, to do your own research. Don't take my word for it. The research is out there. I'm just the messenger, and I'm just learning to deliver my message from a place of peace and love, because I also know Mother Earth is deeply involved in this. And it's both. It's both and. It's not either or. Okay, and that we are having an opportunity to open our eyes and to do our own inner work. And it's going to go with Pluto retrograde. It's going to take us really deep within ourselves. As I say, as within, so without. Be really aware of our thoughts, and knowing that our beliefs are coming up for transformation and to be questioned, and there can be some cognitive dissonance, and to just not to continue to question, even if it doesn't feel good, because it may hurt. Oh no, that can't be true. Well, the veil is falling off, and there are no sacred cows, and we are moving into higher levels of consciousness. But to do that, this is a process that we apparently are needing to go through. I'm sorry, so I kind of talked a lot there. So any questions so far?
Yeah, that was great. Is there an echo?
No, I don't hear one.
Good. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I mean, that was just brilliant, and I was just all ears on that. And I want to ask a couple questions that maybe you'll have an understanding of, and maybe Sonya will too. So I've read that people are being reinfected with coronavirus, COVID-19. Does that mean that it will take a while to build herd immunity if it takes several infections to kind of get a antibody for it? Mm-hmm. Or do you know much about that, Sibyl?
I absolutely do. I don't believe it. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know where you're getting your information. I would have to really look at that. I have not heard of that. I've heard there are projections that will happen. I have not heard that it has happened.
This is reading articles, so there hasn't been, I don't know if it was scientists coming out just straight saying it, because I don't think that's true. I don't think they were, but they were bringing up projections and ideas. And I was thinking, China has been affected for several months. I wish that we could see if they're having a resurgence or if they're being reinfected, but I don't know if that's available to us. Maybe it is.
Well, what I would say is look at the numbers. I mean, every day, go to the COVID-19 site. And there's other sites that will say, there's many sites, not the COVID-19 site, the CNN tracking COVID-19. That's a really good site. It's really clear. It really gives you the numbers. And there are sites, and I think it's called Worldometers, that has numbers of infections in the last 7 days or the last 14 days or whatever. So I did read that a new breakout happened in China, but not in Wuhan, in a different place. So there is a new place, but it's not a very big one, and just look at the numbers. When you start actually looking at the numbers, the picture starts getting a lot clearer, and I'm just going to say that. And even though some people do believe the numbers are being manipulated, and I do too, even with manipulated numbers, they're just not greater than the regular flu in most places. And the reinfection, that is a projection. And, what's his name, the doctor, Fauci? Mm-hmm. He said that it's coming back in the fall. He didn't say it may come back in the fall. I heard him say it's coming back in the fall. What's happening in the fall?
Maybe
the election. The election.
Yeah.
The election is happening in the fall. I heard him say that. I didn't hear him say, we think it's coming back. I heard him say, it's coming back. So, what I feel like is this was an opportunistic power grab by powers that be, and I even think it goes beyond Republican and Democrat. I'm so over that. I don't even like it. It's like where I'm at now. It's a force. It's an energy force, and I don't know. I don't know, but I know that it's bigger than that. and I know that we're being given an opportunity to open our eyes and to wake up, that we have been asleep, and this is part of the process because we're not running around like crazy. We can do our own research, okay?
Sonya, do you have a question for Sibyl?
Well, not necessarily a question, just more so in an agreement with as far as when Sibyl said that, you know, we need to open our own eyes and do our own work. Because each of us individually have a responsibility to know what's going on, you know. And it's interesting how that, we have this coronavirus, and I certainly agree with Sibyl as well as far as we're at a point where, yes, Mother Earth, which of course is God, is saying, be still. You know, I want your undivided attention. And that's where we are now. And, of course, and people are responding and reacting in the various ways. But as far as the whole political thing, yeah, I mean, well, all of this had political manipulations and machinations written all over it, the coronavirus. But the timing of it was just, the timing of it was interesting, but not just on a physical material level, also on a spiritual level. You know, it didn't really become prevalent until January of 2020. You know, there was 1 or 2 cases in 2019. So I don't really have any questions, just basically supporting what you guys have already said.
Yeah. So Jennie, so what I would really just say in response to can this recur? It is a projection that it can recur. I am not aware of any recurrences that have happened. Put it that way.
Good to know.
And I did want to make a comment on. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I did want to make a comment on China when you were talking about the cases. So up until maybe like mid last week on MSNBC, they were tracking like the top 10 countries. And China was like, at one point in time, they were like 4th or 5th, and, several weeks ago. But they kept falling down further and further, not because they weren't having any more cases, but the number of cases that they were reporting, I'll say that because I don't know, but the number of cases that were reporting were almost just like marginally incremental. So, every couple of days they would fall down a new rung. But it got to a point where I said pretty soon China's just going to fall off the top 10 list. Well, it didn't get that far because they reduced the list to the top 5 and China wasn't on it. But by the last time I looked, they were like number 8. They had just been at the 90,000 case mark, reporting. So they were only moving up maybe like between maybe less than 100 to 150 cases a week. They weren't, they weren't growing as fast, or every couple of days. I don't want to say a week. Every couple of days, it was more like, around 100 cases. And it's just, it's not spreading as fast. Now Spain has taken off. It surpassed Italy. So,
yeah.
I've been looking at Northern Europe because I found it to be pretty interesting because Sweden implemented no shelter in place. I think they gave out information and knowledge and all the things, but they didn't require for shelter in place. Now, Norway and Iceland and Finland did, from my understanding, and this is just reading and random research, they did. Now, Sweden has twice the population as Finland and Norway, but they've got to quadruple the number of cases. And again, we have to go back to the root of, are these numbers accurate? Have we ever had enough tests to accurately test? Are there a lot of people that may have been asymptomatic? Sure. I mean, so we have some numbers to go on. I don't agree with both of you on how accurate those are. I'm not really sure. But I'm keeping my eye on Northern Europe. It's kind of like an experiment. I hate it that it's with human lives and what have you, but we're on this planet.
Well, Jennie, they're saying they have herd immunity now. I mean, people are going to be testing more. They're going to get more antibodies if they have herd immunity.
I did see that they were going to reach herd immunity, and this could have been an old article, but they were coming close to reaching herd immunity in Stockholm. I did read that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to say, as you're doing your research, look at numbers, but also look at maps. Maps, are very visual, and you get a really good sense of it where they, have different color codings. And so the places that are most impacted is Europe and the United States. Now, what does that tell you? The third world countries, yes, Ecuador apparently does as well. And I just want to bring in one more factor here. But when you look at those maps, it's kind of astonishing that it's the more wealthy, industrialized, highly technical nations are the ones that have the most cases. And so I want to just bring in the theory, and it's also a theory. It's by those that are really, a germ theory, like they say, is a theory. It has never been proven. There's not proof of it. They have been working from assumptions. It's like if A and B are true, then if A and B are true, then C must be true, even though we can't prove it. And this is where we've been working from. So the people that and I'm reading a great book on what is called What Really Makes You Ill. I find that this time off, I'm sitting down and really educating myself in a way that I like to do because I am a nurse, so I do have a real interest in the health sciences. And so I'm learning more than I've ever really learned in nursing school. Anyway, but of course it's newer stuff. It's newer stuff that and I think when you hear this, it just might kind of really land as some truth in your heart that we have basically poisoned our nest. We have poisoned our nest, and the kind of like the last straw was 5G. It was the electromagnetic poisoning that is coming in, that it is such a high vibration that it doesn't work well with Mother Earth's energy or our energy, because we have an electrical field and it goes against it. And you look at the places that have a lot of cases and deaths. There are places that are incredibly polluted. You look at Michigan. You look at the water in Flint. All of the chemicals that have been put into their atmosphere for so long. You look at Louisiana. There's toxic dumps. I went down there to do relief work for Katrina, and it's legal there. Other states carry their toxic waste to Louisiana. New York City is covered in 5G. It's the one city that is. And so, there's just lots of, and there are, Switzerland, Brussels. There's many different places that are not allowing this 5G. They've either stopped it, or they've either halted it or stopped it from even coming in at all, because they have concluded that it is an unhealthy level of radiation for our bodies. And so, you look at these factors, and even if you do believe in germ theory, which, like I say, I'm questioning, it makes our bodies, the cells, it makes us weaker. Our immune system, it impacts our immune system. So places that are highly polluted, and Italy, they say, just like in the United States, in Italy, it was in two places, Lombardy and another place. I can't remember the other, whether they call them states or provinces. It was all over like we are, scattered, but the places where it was really heavy was in two places, and it was places where the pollution from all forms, and they say they've been burning biodiesel in Italy with Roundup. The plants they're using, they're burning plants that have Roundup in it for fuel, and so it's multifactorial. It's multifactorial pollutant, whether it's a poison coming in, and that's what it really is, or whether it's a poison coming in that is making our immune system unable to work as well in places where it's really, really polluted. So that's another thought.
Interesting. Yeah, my teacher had said something about the cells being unhealthy in a person, and if that's the case for whatever reasons, environmental, genetics, health, whatever, that is absolutely going to expose you to any virus or bacteria more, and it make you more vulnerable to it. And talking about Michigan. I grew up in Michigan, and one of my friends from high school had ovarian cancer in high school. Now, she's much older now because we graduated in the 90s, but she is going on the Erin Brockovich podcast to talk about Michigan and its toxins and where she